What's good, gang? Welcome back to Ants Drip Tech. And today I got an interesting video. We're going to sit here and talk about the PS5 Pro and what's your thoughts on it. For me, I want to start with the specs. First and foremost, specs are 45% faster than the original PS5. Better ray trace reflections, which is something that a lot of people may not know too much about. But ray tracing is the reflection of light on the water, on marble floors, and on cars and racing games and things like that. That can make your graphical experience a whole lot better, which you may not know. So just a little tidbit of information there. And also has better FPS. We all have that issue of deciding between performance mode and graphical fidelity mode. In a lot of games, they call it fidelity mode. And typically, fidelity mode will run at 30 frames per second with, the highest graphical settings that you can get on the console. And performance mode will run at 1080p at 60 frames per second, which is, the frame per second is something that you will need, especially if you're playing like online multiplayer games, Call of Duty, different types of fighting games, different types of games like that, where you will really need the frames per second so you're not lagging in your experience. The PS5 Pro, being as though it is a brute force console, of course, they compare it to a NVIDIA RTX 4070, and comparing it to a 4070, that may get us 4K and 60 frames per second at the same time, so you could get the best of both worlds. Your games will look excellent, and on top of that, they will run a whole lot smoother. And you can be competitive in multiplayer, playing Call of Duty and things like that, where you're playing against a lot of PC players who are running at 120 frames per second. You ever wonder why you shooting and your bullets not getting there and they're killing you real fast? That's the frame per second difference right there. And first and foremost, the console is $699. I know it's a little steep, and hey, you don't have to buy it. This isn't for everybody. This is for the hardcore gamer, the hardcore person who has to have everything top of the line for their gaming experience. I know a lot of people just typically, I'll grab a PS5 for $499 or $449, whatever the digital version is. They'll grab that and say, hey, my stuff runs just fine. I'm perfectly fine with that. But then you have a couple of people on the side who's like, nah, let me get the best version available so I'm not missing any type of special features, any type of things. And on top of that, that $699 price tag comes with a 2 terabyte SSD, which is very essential in today's climate when it comes to gaming, especially with Call of Duty. A lot of these games may end up, especially with updates, may end up being 300 gigs when you're done updating the game. And Call of Duty has seasons, so it's going to update pretty often. So a lot of these games will be implementing a pro mode. So when you go into your settings on the game, it will have fidelity with ray trace reflections on. You will have performance mode, and you'll have a pro mode. And pro mode will essentially combine the two to give you the best possible experience that you could possibly have, which is good for me because, hey, I want my games to look good, and I want them to run smooth as well. Couple of games that they noted that is PS5 Pro Enhanced is Madden 25, College Football 25. I really want to see what they do with those games because I honestly don't know what they're planning to add with that, because on the football field, you're not going to be able to see ray trace reflections, things like that. So I really want to know what they do with those games. Gran Turismo 7, which is a game that I've seen Digital Foundry in a couple of videos that they had explaining it and showing the difference between the Pro version and the standard PS5 version, in which on the Pro version with ray tracing turned on, you drive past cars, you can see the reflection of your car as you ride past on the paint of the other vehicle, and you can see the cars and your side mirrors on your vehicle and things like that, which is a nice touch, especially for those people looking for the best experience. But honestly, if you're playing the game, you're not going to really notice that after you initially turn it on and run it for a couple of times. After that, you will probably be an afterthought, stop looking at it. In all actuality, just being honest, Horizon Forbidden West, that is another title that's PS5 Pro Enhanced. I'm happy for that title, which is a game that I didn't even finish due to the fact that I like to play it on fidelity mode. I know performance mode is better for that game. I do know that. But on fidelity mode, it's little things that I noticed. If you have the game, try this. Put it on fidelity mode, jump in the air with Aloy, and you'll see her body like slowly glide back down. You can see it's very noticeable to the naked eye, you know. So it's something, once I learned about frames per second, it's something that I noticed myself. So that game, I would like to run it looking the best and also having the best possible frame per second I can have on that game. I would love to try it out with that. So I'm waiting to finish that game when I do get a PS5 Pro in hand. Another game as well is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. It's a high intense game. RPG, open world element. It's not a full open world, but you know what I mean. The scope is pretty much there as such. That game, when you're fighting bosses and things like that, you know, Cloud, you swinging your sword and things like that, you can kind of see the stutter in it. You can see the stutter in the game. I know, and again, like I say, the PS5 Pro is not for everybody. It is for the die-hard PlayStation enthusiast, the person who wants to play the games at the best possible way they can possibly play these games without having a PC. And that's your option, because if you think about it, for $700, if you try to build a PC for $700, you won't be able to do that successfully, because you will be well over that $700 price point, just being honest with you. So I've seen a lot of videos where people try to compare it and try to build what they can build for $700 to get the best possible version of a PC to kind of compare it, and you just won't be able to do it. I mean, let's be real, you just won't, because the graphics card alone, 4070, which the PS5 Pro is essentially equivalent to, that will run you about $549 already out the gate, and that may be for a used card. So hey, you need your power supply, you need your case, you need your motherboard, you need your RAM, you need your SSD. Yeah, you'll be well over the $700 price point. Another game, Final Fantasy 16, which is not PS5 Pro Enhanced, but I'm hoping that eventually it will become PS5 Pro Enhanced, because that's a game that stutters a lot. Yeah, I ran through that game and I beat it in performance mode, and I've really enjoyed it. If you haven't played it, go and play that. It's a great experience for Final Fantasy fans. And even people who just new to the series, try it out. Sure, you'll love it. I loved it. So with that game, a lot of stuttering there on that game. A lot of high intense battles, a lot of magic, a lot of different things in that game that takes brute force, and it pushes the PS5 to the limit with that game. I'm honestly looking to see if an update comes out for the PS5 Pro for that game, or also if the brute force of the PS5 Pro, being as though it's 45% stronger and faster than the original PS5, if it can brute force that game into running a whole lot better. I'm looking to see that. That's one of the games I'll be testing out first and foremost. And another game, an honorable mention for people to test out, is Sonic Frontiers. That's a game, it's a little older now, maybe 2022. I'm not quite sure the release date, but I believe it's 2022. That game, Sonic is fast. We all know that. It's not a graphically intense game, but that game had a whole lot of popping, if you notice. If you have that game and tried it out, anybody who had it, they can attest to that as well. Whole lot of popping in that game. And being as though the system is rendering 45% faster, I want to see if the popping is diminished on the PS5 Pro. So I will be testing that game out as well. So please let me know what you think. Me personally, $700. I know it's quite expensive, but hey, if you got it, you got it. If you don't, then stick with what you had with your original PS5, and nothing's wrong with that. You could play your games the same. The games will come out. You can still cop those. You can still get anything new. You can still play your Call of Duty, your Madden, your Warzone, whatever you want to play. You can play all of that on the base PS5 and have no issues. But for me, I want to play in the best graphical settings with the best frame rate I can possibly get. So I will be copping the PS5 Pro and seeing what it's hitting on. So let me know what you think in the comments. And don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, and check me out on the next video.